When Synth Audible announced the firmware version 4.0 for the Deluge, I got really excited. On my radar for the past, I don't know, 6 months, a year, something like that, I've been thinking a lot about wavetable synthesis. I do have a Waldorf Blofeld, the synthesizer, the white one behind me, and I use it sometimes, but it's not my go-to because it doesn't do anything other than just, you know, the synthesizer stuff. The Deluge, however, is where I tend to start with anything musical that I make. And now, all of a sudden, I have wavetable synthesis built into the Deluge, which to me is amazing. So for this video, I wanted to give more of a musical demonstration of some of the things that I would use it for, the wavetable synthesis specifically. I'll also try some of the other features that come with the firmware 4.0. I'm going to assume that you have at least like a working knowledge of the Deluge. I'll do a voiceover, of course, but it requires that you have the latest firmware installed if you want to follow along. And also, I'm using a library of single cycle waveforms that I got from a video by Ollie Loops. It was really good. I'll link it in the description. If you're watching this, Ollie Loops, thank you, that was great. So that's my starting point, but this is not a technical demonstration. This is trying to achieve something musical using those beautiful sounds of wavetable synthesis. That's one part of this video. Another part is, how do I explain this? For the past several weeks, I've had a drum beat on my mind. It's a 5/4 polymeter thing. It's a little bit nerdy, but I've been, you know, drumming on my legs like crazy for a long time now. And at a first glance, it's perhaps not that musical, but I think it probably could be. So I'm gonna see if I can play that beat on my electronic Roland TD-17 drum kit that I have next to me, record it into the Deluge, add a couple of effects and stuff, and hopefully it will turn into something that sounds good to listen to. That's my ambition. So I have the drum set, I have my Deluge, of course, and then in front of me I have two effect pedals. One is the Waldorf 2-pole analog filter, which is exactly that. It's a high-pass filter, and I'll also use it for some of the distortion that comes with this. It sounds really good. And then the signal is additionally routed into the Fairfield circuitry shallow water, which is a bit of a filter, chorus, distortion pedal. It sounds like old tape. It sounds really good. No matter what I plug into this thing, it just sounds great. So I'll be processing the preset sounds from the built-in TD-17 kit through this, recorded into the Deluge, and then hopefully we can turn that into something that sounds good. First things first, let's turn this thing on. And I'm gonna start by... So as it defaults, opens up, it's in a synth track, right? So I think that works. If I press Shift and then Synth, it should say New. And from there I can go Shift and then Browse. And then bottom to top, yep. And then single cycle waveforms. This again is something that I manually loaded into the Deluge after watching the Ollie Loops video. So start there if you haven't already. These are all really loud, so I'm going to turn this down a little. When I browse through them, you can hear they sometimes sound really harsh. They sound like, well, waveforms or FM something. They sound not very great yet, but I think we can change that. So in this library, there are a couple of waveforms from the PPG Wave, which is a beautiful, beautiful, very expensive, hard to come by synthesizer. So I'm just going to scroll over there, see what I can find, and then we'll use that as a starting point. I think, well, there we go. There are a bunch of them. I don't know which one I prefer, but let's go with this one. Once I've selected the waveform, I press and hold, turn it over to where it says Wave, and then I click it, and then here we go. It sounds like a wavetable synthesis. I need to scroll down a little just to make sure that we get to a range that's not so loud and squeaky. Turn this up a little. Okay, so we have a starting point. I'm going to just find a simple melody that sounds alright. And fortunately for me, I have the scale things. I don't have to worry too much about the scales. It should sound good almost no matter what I play. But I'm going to open up the isometric keyboard layout and scroll down a little again. And maybe down here. Okay, something like that. And I'm going to change the release. If I press the custom 2, custom 3 thing over here, I can start to change the position of the waveform. So where in the waveform the synth is oscillating from, and then also the depth through how it scans through that waveform using the second encoder. Let's start with something that's, yeah, I mean, I'm just adjusting this by ear, so where it sounds good to me. I'm going to come back to that, but before we do anything else, I'm going to set up a simple drum beat. Like I mentioned, I have this 4/5, 5/4 polymeter. It's in 5/4, right? So I'm just going to set up a very simple there we go, kit, a very simple beat, so I can keep track of what's going on. And we said 5/4, so we need to press Shift and then scroll sideways, and that. So we have 4/4 and then 5/4. I'll just add a simple bass drum. This is just a preset 808 kit. And then just to know when it starts. Maybe the last one can be, I'll add a little clap, something like that. And then I'll change the cutoff in the low pass filter, just so it doesn't stick out too much as we're setting this up. So this is essentially just a sketch to help draft out the structure of the synthesizer stuff. Maybe I want to turn it up a little. Can add some delay maybe. And if I click this encoder, it cycles between normal and ping pong. Hard in 5. You know what? I know. Here's another cool thing we can do. Disable the scale so I can get to this in between, something like that. And then I need to adjust the length of this too, so I'm going to extend it by the same amount. Like this maybe. And then I'm gonna hit the sidebar out here, which is the same as pressing Shift for all intents and purposes. So if I click here and then frequency, it sets to 31, but we're gonna tie this to LFO1. So I'm gonna press on the side here again, LFO1, and then adjust the depth of how much the LFO affects the low pass filter. I think 7 is probably fine. And then if I play this now, it'll probably sound like a little bit too fast. It's okay, but I like to slow it down a little. So if I press Shift and then rate LFO1, I can slow that down from 30 to something like 12 is probably alright. And if we play it again, Okay, I'm happy with that as a starting point. We have something very simple, a 5/4 pattern with a wavetable synthesis. Let's do another wavetable synth. Shift, synth, shift, browse, bottom to top, yes. This one that comes up, this one sounds cool. Press and hold, wave, press again. It's really high pitched for some reason, but we can scroll it down. Okay, this custom 2 adjusts where we are in the waveform. The second one adjusts the depth in which LFO2 cycles through the waveform. And then I was hoping we could go press this button here where the custom encoder is, the bottom one, and adjust something, adjust the depth of LFO2, hopefully. So if I select this one, and I'm thinking if we adjust that to the depth of LFO1, so press shift again, see those two are both blinking. Then I can turn this up to a number 10, sure. And then if I press and hold learn input while I turn this knob here, it now makes that connection between the depth. So you see when I turn it now, the depth of those two is being affected by this encoder. I'll click one of them just to exit out. And then if I press I hope that illustrates my point, that I'm actually affecting the speed of how the two LFOs are affecting each other. Just to make things a little bit more random, a little bit more interesting, hopefully. If I play this again, I'm going to see if I can come up with a pattern that sounds good, sort of in addition to what we have already. But yeah, let's take it from there, or a couple of notes that sound good at least. Okay, so I'm just going to record 3 or 4 notes that I think sound alright, and then we'll take it from there. And that's fine with me. Yeah, I think this probably works. The length is a little bit off, so I'm going to hold shift and turn the length thing here on the side until we get to 1 bar. And this is where we start to get into some interesting stuff. This button up here, it's not marked by anything, but it's the 5th on the top row. If I press shift and that one, I have forward, reverse, or ping pong. So if I leave it at ping pong and press play, the playhead will now bounce back and forth. The pattern that we have is 5/4. This one is just 4/4, but I think that could turn this into something interesting. Let's try it. So you see what it did there. This is separate from the other clips in the song and operates independently. And here's another cool thing that I learned. If you press here on the side and adjust the width of individual notes, see how the color changes a little? You can do this on a per note basis. So some of these will be much shorter. And when I have the ping pong playhead, it will just treat everything as being completely on separate polymeters, which to me sounds interesting. So I'm going to let this play back while I make some adjustments to the effects, the delay, the reverb, and maybe the position in the waveform too. And here again, I'm going to press shift frequency, shift LFO1, and set a low pass filter tied to the LFO of this particular track, so it makes it sound a little bit more organic and evolving over time. Let's play it back. Not only can we do this where they're all like separate meters, the playback is in reverse and ping pong, we can, in addition to this, change the probability by playing certain notes and turning this encoder to the left. So I'll set these to, I don't know, different probabilities of likelihood for playback, and then we'll play it back again. To me, this is amazing, and this becomes very musical very quickly because it's so hard to predict it, because it doesn't sound like a straightforward passage that I wrote or anyone, you know, it's just a, yeah, it just seems so random, but still musical, still within the scale, and evolving over time. I'm gonna just edit the first part that we made because it sounds a little too loud and yeah, not as good as I wanted to. Let's add some bass. I'm not going to do wavetable bass, I'm just going to use one of the presets because it's fast and it sounds good. My favorite is synth number 5, and then I just turn the this lower knob all the way down, so the resonance is dialed down. Just sounds really good, and I'm just going to see if I can come up with something that sounds good with this. I need to turn my volume up. There we go. Let's try it. I'm just gonna mash on this one note because it sounds good. Let's do it. And that was in 5. It doesn't really matter since it's the same note, but I'm just gonna, yes, okay. Same thing there. I'm gonna change the frequency and tie it to LFO1. Just a subtle thing. Maybe 6 is alright, and then shift LFO1 rate and slow it down a little. Same thing that we did before. Okay, if I play it back, let's see what it sounds like. Yep, there's some audio levels that are a little bit off. The first track is too loud, but let's just turn it down. Cool. Let's add another kit track where we add just a couple of kicks, and then we can affect the entire and just turn the volume of these all the way down. And this is what we'll use for the sidechain, because sidechain always sounds cool. So if I go back to the song view, press and hold anywhere on this track and press sidechain and dial it up a little bit, I'm just going to go through them all and do that. That should mean that with the new kit track that I have with the kick drums, they will duck the signal from the other tracks and make it feel a little bit more like it's got some oomph to it. Let's play it back. I'm gonna see if I can record those drums now. I think that probably makes sense. So what I need to do is create another clip, press anywhere on here, click this encoder, audio encoder, learn input, and then the track, it says left. Let's turn it into a left with a dot so I can monitor what I'm playing. And that ought to do it. Okay, so the drum beat that I was briefly mentioning before is based around a 5/4 pattern. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one hand. On the other hand, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it does that 4 times over. And I'm playing on the left hand, I'm playing this: bum, 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 bum. And then when you combine those two, it kind of becomes like this. And it goes on like that forever. So for every grouping of 5, there are 4 groupings on the left hand. I'm just going to play that on the drum set over here, and I'll try to record it and make it sound good in the context of everything else. So let's do that. Okay, let's try it. 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's been recorded. Let's turn it down a little because I think the signal was a little too loud, but I'm just gonna adjust that real quick. You hear that warbly sound from the shallow water? I think that's really fun. Let's go into the waveform and adjust it. If I scroll to the end, I can see that it's a little bit too long. So I'm gonna click on the very last line here until this blinks. I'm gonna head back into the start of this one here, and then no, you know what? It's a little bit further still. It's here, the last one on this one. And this should loop it together. Let's play it through and see what it sounds like. Yeah, so that looks like a good loop. So right, it's 5/4, that makes sense. And then I'm gonna add some volume ducking sidechain to this one too, because that will make it gel a little bit better with everything else that's going on. And a little bit of delay, because why not? Might add a little bit of, I think it's bit crushing on the custom 2 one for audio channels. Yeah, and if I go back into the song, I can probably mute the initial drum track that we made. So let's do that. And let's just play it through. I'll adjust a couple of levels and see where we end up. You know what? I think the volume duct kick track that we have, let's turn it up a little and maybe add some other drums too. And if we add those in 4/4, I think that could make the beat that we just played here on the drums feel more interesting too. Like there will be something happening in the background, like a cycle that doesn't quite resolve unless you look at it on bigger, larger time scales. So let's do that. You'll see what I mean. Okay, let's this is too bright. Let's see. Yeah, if I press Shift and then Master Transpose here, I can detune it a little. I think -7 or 8 should probably do the trick. Yeah, that's cool. And then add a little bit of reverb. Let's try that. That's pretty cool. Maybe actually let's go back to the first one, mute the hi-hats, or maybe we can add some bit crushing on those two. There we go. And for the sake of variation, I think we should probably have a second bass track too. So we need something outside of the scale. Yeah, here. So if I just clear this by pressing, let me think, is it the side scrolling and back undo? Yes, that clears it. And then I'll go out and mute the first bass track, go back into the second one, and I'll record a second one, which is just another note. Did I not record it? Oh, it didn't actually record it. Let's go back into the song. And it was set to red. We don't want that. Let's try it again. It's too long. Shift and scroll sideways until we have a good length. And then let's play it back, see what it sounds like. I think we should probably add another wavetable synth. So if we press anywhere on this line, we get another synth. Let's go in, shift synth, new, browse. Turn this down a little again because it gets so crazy loud. And yes. This sounds like it could be cool. Let's try this. Press and hold. Turn over to wave. I love wavetable synths. They're so nice. I don't know what else to call them. And then let's add this. Let's find a good chord that gels with everything else we have. Seems, oh, I was like, why is it so quiet? Because I have it all the way turned down. Let's try it again. That's cool. Very simple. I feel like I always do those, but it sounds good, so why not? Let's try recording it. Yeah. That's my cat wanting attention or food or both. Let's try it. You know what? Let's do something that's a bit more gradual in its introduction. Let's try that again. adjust the length. And as you can tell, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5. I don't really mind as long as it sounds good. And then I'll add some sidechain to this one, play it through and just adjust the effects and the levels. I'm going to slow down the second LFO for this one, so shift and LFO rate 25. Let's do like 11, sure. Let's play it back. And another one of those frequency LFO ones. 8, probably good. Shift, LFO 1, 30, let's dial that down. 10, 11. See what it sounds like. I think we need maybe some kind of melody, which will probably be the last thing we add before we wrap things up. So another synth, another new synth. I'm going to turn this down again. Browse, up the top, yes, let's find one. This one's good. Press and hold till we get to wave. That sounds good. And then scroll it all the way down. Same thing again. I'm going to slow down the LFO a little. I'm going to see if I can connect the frequency to LFO 1. And then slow down LFO 1 a little too, because it's always too fast. Okay. Let's see what we can come up with. Change the release, add some delay, add some sidechain. And let's see what we can come up with in terms of melody. This sounds a little too robust, too meaty, so I'm going to see if I can, if I go into the cutoff FM, click this one, goes from a low pass filter to a high pass filter. If I just dial this up, makes it a little tinier, which I think is probably good for what we're doing here. I'll just record something, whatever, see where it takes us. But not that. Maybe if I make it 5 again, and I'll layer it with a da 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 da, that part. Something like. Yeah, okay. Let's try that. Pretty cool. And if I Okay, scroll down where the notes are and adjust the length so it doesn't have a weird big pause. Okay, it's 4. And then add some more delay. Let's play it back. You know, I'm going to add some bit crushing as well. No, I won't, because it's wavetable, but I can adjust where in the waveform we are to see if I can change the sound. Pretty cool. I'm just gonna let this play out while I make some of the final adjustments and tweaks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know. It's so motivating to see thumbs up and comments and people watching this stuff and sharing it with their friends or whatever. If there's anything you want to see more of, please let me know that too, and I'll consider it. And yeah, I hope you like the track that we just made. You can obviously do so much more, but this is a great way to start, and we didn't spend that much time doing it. So yeah, hope you enjoy.